Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Pokémon. Starts with binding the Dragon God system. Chapter 1. Hurry up. Patient number 12 has another attack, and we can't control him anymore. In the mental hospital in Qingliu City, two thin female nurses were pressing down a thin man on the bed with great fear. Because this male patient was sent by the Lin family, a wealthy family in Qingliu City. His name was Lin Cheng, 18 years old, and it was said that he became mentally ill because of some kind of stimulation. Look, today, this Mr. Lin is grinning and shouting loudly, "How dare you, a group of evil cults, imprison me here? Don't you know the reputation of my Nine Heavens Thunder God?" Then, the two nurses suddenly shouted with fear, "Dr. Li. Come on, come on. He's going to start again." Lin Cheng stood up with his back to the bed with a crazy look on his face, and then slammed into the wall next to him like a zombie, as if he wanted to let the wall hit him to death. He laughed crazily while hitting, and looked so happy that the two nurses were at a loss. "Xiaoying, do you want us to secretly give him a sedative? Dr. Li hasn't come back yet," a short-haired nurse next to her murmured nervously. The other party also nodded hurriedly, fearing that if they waited any longer, the fantasy giant would be put into an urn and sent back to the Lin family at night, and then the two of them would be unemployed. The two women also put in all their efforts and finally gave the fantasy giant a shot of a strong sedative. But the strange phenomenon happened. At this moment, Lin Cheng, who was given a sedative, suddenly opened his eyes wide, his pupils shrank sharply, and he screamed very hideously, as if in extreme pain, and rushed towards the two nurses like a zombie with the bed on his back. The two young nurses had never seen such a posture. They were scared and cried loudly on the spot and fled frantically. Just when Lin Cheng was about to hit him, he suddenly slipped and hit the table next to him flush with the ground, and then his eyes rolled back and he fainted. The two nurses looked at him nervously, and finally breathed a sigh of relief when they saw that he was fine. After lifting him up and putting him down with great effort, they went out. Lin Cheng, who was tied to the bed, opened his eyes again at this time, but his expression seemed to have changed. "My head hurts." Lin Cheng looked around in confusion. Why did he suddenly come to the hospital? Didn't he remember that he had just picked up a newly bought sports car and wanted to try it on the road, and then was hit by a truck? Who saved him? Where is this place? Just when he was stunned, the door of the ward was opened again. 3 people pushed a car, and there seemed to be a round meatball next to it. Gible. Lin Cheng looked at the pink meatball in a daze, thinking that it was a child wearing a Gible doll costume, and was stunned. "Dr. Li, Master Lin Cheng just had another attack and almost hurt Xiaoying. Please take a look." After listening to the nurse's words, Dr. Li looked at the card and selected 2 pills of unknown efficacy. With a cold gleam in his eyes, he strode towards Lin Cheng. After Lin Cheng saw the words, "Qingliu City Mental Hospital," written on Dr. Li's badge, he realized that this is a mental hospital. "Help!" Lin Cheng shouted in panic, "Don't listen to me. I'm not sick. My intelligence is normal." But he had already swallowed the medicine, and then he fainted. At this moment, a series of sizzling electric current sounds suddenly sounded in Lin Cheng's mind, and then a pleasant female voice said cheerfully, "Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for traveling to the elf world. Now successfully bound to the Dragon God system. Reward Dragon God System Newcomer Gift Pack. Newcomer Gift Pack 1. The host can choose one of Shining Fang, Shining Round Land Shark, and Shining Mini Dragon as the initial elf. Newcomer Gift Pack 2. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Dragon God body, and can use the skills and abilities of the dragon elves you have captured. Newcomer Gift Pack 3. Open the store of everything, and the host can exchange everything by consuming Alliance coins. Lin Cheng looked at the talking phantom in his consciousness and the pop-up information bars, and was also stunned. After looking at it, he was sure that he had traveled through time, and he had traveled to a world full of elves. Please choose the initial elf. The system sounded a prompt again, allowing Lin Cheng to look at the 3 initial elves. Round Land Shark, right, Lin Cheng said lightly, and the system placed the order directly. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the initial elf Shiny Round Land Shark. Is there anything else I can help you with? Lin Cheng thought about the current situation, and asked with some concern, please tell me about the original owner of this body. The owner of this body is Lin Cheng, the second son of the Lin family in Qingliu City. Because he is arrogant and tyrannical, he often harasses women. Later, he was injured in the head by the brother of a girl, and became a little abnormal. His family sent him to a mental hospital to cure him, but coincidentally, this body is now yours. Quote. Lin Qing was speechless for a long time after listening to the introduction of the system. It turned out that the previous owner of this body was not a good person. The most important thing at the moment is not other things, but how to escape from here. If you take those medicines every day, you will die sooner or later. As Lin Qing thought about it, his consciousness gradually became blurred, and then he slowly fell asleep. That night, Lin Qing seemed to have a very long dream. It seemed that he was called the Nine Sky Thunder God, killing people in the fairy world, and he called himself the king. Wherever he passed, blood flowed like a river. The next morning, Lin Qing woke up with some effort. He felt that his head was a little dizzy. A strong sedative injection and 2 strong sleeping pills made him feel a little headache. Then he touched a small elf ball that appeared in his hand. This should be the initial elf that the system just sent. And at this moment, a woman who opened the door next to him exclaimed, "Oh my God." He woke up so fast. This man is in such a good health. Quote. Lin Qing looked up and saw that it was Xiaoying, the nurse who gave him the injection yesterday. Then he looked at the nurse with a panicked face and tried to find something. He was anxious on the spot. Nurse girl, I have normal intelligence. My brain is normal. I am fine. Xiaoying was stunned when she heard it. Wasn't the first sentence he said when he woke up to eat my 9 heavens thunder or something else? Quote. Xiaoying was stunned. Could it be that this fantasy giant hit his head on the table yesterday, and he got better again? Girl, I am fine. Please contact my family to handle the discharge procedures. Lin Qing said lightly. It looks quite normal. Xiaoying thought he was pretending, and directly picked up the vase next to him and said majestically, "Hey. Do you know my chaos bottle?" Quote. Lin Qing was very upset. Seeing that Lin Qing had no reaction, the other party suddenly had light in his eyes. Dr. Li. Doctor. Patient number 12, he is fine. After about 5 minutes, Dr. Li brought Xiaoying and Lin Qing to a room, where there were some documents and medical records. After questioning them with various questions, they confirmed one thing. Lin Qing had indeed become a normal person, but he had lost his memory. This is strange. I have been practicing medicine for 40 years and have seen people with tumors on their necks. This is the first time I have seen that amnesia can cure mental illness. Dr. Li put down the medical record in his hand and looked at Lin Qing with some doubts. Dr. Li, do you want to ask Master Lin's mother to pick him up? Xiaoying asked on the side. Well, go contact his mother now, remember to be polite. After about half an hour, a mature woman came in with a black leather handbag. She looked about 35 years old. There was no trace of time on her face. It was obvious that she was well maintained. Qinger, let mother see. The woman couldn't stop crying when she saw Lin Qing. She pulled Lin Qing there and looked at him for a long time, touching his head and looking at his face. The woman's name was Huo Sha. She was the second wife of Lin Tiancheng, the head of the Lin family. She loved her son as much as her life. Huo Sha hugged Lin Qing with a distressed look on her face and choked up. It's good. I've been worried to death for 3 months. Last time, because there were no witnesses, the brother and sister were acquitted. This time, I must give you justice. I promise you. As the woman spoke, her expression began to become a little determined. She only had this one son, and she would never allow anyone to hurt him. Lin Qing looked at this unusually charming mother with some embarrassment and blushed subconsciously. As an orphan in his previous life, he didn't know what maternal love was. Mom, don't go find the brother and sister. I should have bullied them. Lin Qing said this in a low voice, which made Huo Sha in front of him suddenly stunned. Dr. Li was also very sharp-eyed when he saw this. He walked up to her with a flattering face and said, Mrs. Lin. Young Master Lin has lost his memory. His condition was cured because of his memory loss. You should take him home and take good care of him. A hint of sharpness flashed in Huo Sha's eyes. Dr. Li swallowed subconsciously, not knowing what the other party meant. Trouble. I'll take my son back. After Lin Qing followed his mother in this life to the outside, they got into a car. Lin Qing looked at this luxury car in some surprise. Even in his previous life, he couldn't afford it. After returning to his residence, Lin Qing was very surprised. The car was so good. Why was his residence an old apartment? At this time, Huosha next to him came over with a gentle face and said, "Son, you live here first. This is what your mother bought for you. For safety reasons, don't go back home yet. Your mother needs to deal with some things. Also, the Fairy Academy in Qingliu City will start the day after tomorrow. If you are in the mood, you can go there." Then Huosha took out a bank card and a mobile phone, put them on the table next to him as usual, and then touched Lin Qing's face and said lovingly, "My dear son, this is your pocket money this month and your previous mobile phone. If you don't have it, ask your mother for it." Thank you, Mom." Lin Qing was still a little embarrassed. Not only did he give a shining fairy, but he also gave a rich mother with fair skin and beautiful appearance. It really took off from the start. "Well, don't run around. Mom will come to see you when she is free. I love you, son." Then Huosha gently hugged Lin Qing and left reluctantly. Lin Qing looked at his mother who entered the luxury car from upstairs. It seemed that she was severely teaching the housekeeper next to her. He didn't know what was going on. Lin Qing didn't think too much. He finally had time to look at his Pokémon now. Later, it could evolve into the initial form of the quasi-god land shark, the round land shark. He took out his Pokeball from his pocket and pressed it lightly. The Pokeball slightly enlarged and then bounced open and released a red light. Shark, a round blue little head raised up and looked at Lin Qing with a puzzled look. Lin Qing was delighted to see this. "From now on, you can call me Little Shark. I am Lin Qing, your master." Lin Qing stretched out his hand and stroked the head of the shiny round land shark with a look of relief. The color of the ordinary round land shark is dark blue, while the shiny one is light blue and dark blue, which makes it look much more handsome. The two round horns on its head also look very lethal. Lin Qing also saw an attribute panel on the head of the round land shark. Shiny round land shark, round dragon elf. Qualification: ordinary level, intermediate level. Skills: sand splashing, dragon's rage, impact, quicksand hell. Features: rough skin, sand hiding, dual characteristics. Lin Qing was also a little confused after looking at this attribute panel. Asked, "System, are you there? What does this qualification mean?" "My master, I am here. There are 9 levels of qualifications for the elves in this world, including entry level, amateur, ordinary, elite, professional, master, gym, king, and champion. And the birth qualification of the young elves determines the highest qualification level that can be promoted in the future. The higher the qualification at birth, the better." After Lin Qing got a general understanding, he looked at his own attribute panel. He remembered that the system said that it had given him a dragon god body, saying that he could use the abilities of the dragon elves that had been conquered, but he didn't know what it meant. Then Lin Qing stretched out his hand slightly towards his door and said in disbelief, "Quicksand hell." For a moment, Lin Qing seemed to feel that something was pulled out of his body, and then he saw a large ball of sand appear in the room like a giant slime. Lin Qing looked at the room that was full of sand before he even moved in, a little confused. "This thing, how did you take it back?" The round land shark next to him also looked at his owner with a puzzled look. What on earth was he trying to do? So Lin Qing started to take the wash basin in the bathroom and began to pour out the sand one by one. On the first day after he was discharged from the hospital, he did nothing. He first cleaned the sand at home for 2 hours. It was amazing. When Lin Qing finished cleaning the sand, it was already 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He lay on the bed exhausted, gasping for breath. The round land shark next to him also looked helpless. It seemed that his owner had some problems. It had not eaten since it was born. Did he want to starve the shark to death? Gu. Lin Qing listened to the round land shark's belly call next to him with a dull face. He seemed to have forgotten to feed the baby. Don't panic. I'll buy it for you right now," Lin Qing said, and took the mobile phone and bank card left by his mother on the table. He took back the little shark and ran out of the door. After arriving at the street, Lin Qing felt very curious about the different cities here. Duduli Private Car Transfer Company, Sister Mikan Matchmaking Agency, Bobo Express Company, and along the way, he saw some Howley and Wanley moving bricks on the construction site opposite. After walking for about 10 minutes, Lin Qing also came to a small elf food store, which had a variety of elf food, as well as energy cubes and tree fruits. The things were pretty good, but the prices did look a bit scary. After all, Lin Qing didn't know how much money his mother Huoxia gave him. According to his previous memory, he remembered that the milk of the big milk tank was extremely nourishing, and the rations should be based on the attributes and age of the elves. After choosing a few items, Lin Qing still planned to go to the cashier to see if he had so much money in his card. It shouldn't be too little. When the cashier checked his purchases, he said kindly, "Hello sir, 3 large milk cans of milk are 1500 alliance coins, a bag of dragon elf food is 5000 alliance coins, a total of 6500 alliance coins, please pay by card or cash." Lin Qing choked up. It's true that it costs a lot of money to cultivate elves in this world. If you want to save money, you can consider raising a small geodude that eats stones or a walking grass that can survive in the sun every day. After the cashier took Lin Qing's bank card and swiped it into the machine, his expression immediately changed from being kind to a little restrained. "First, sir, it's already been swiped, please, please." And Lin Qing was still looking at the card machine with a puzzled look and counting the zeros. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions. A total of 2 million alliance coins. Lin Qing was immediately numb. What did his mother say before? Pocket money. Seeing Lin Qing counting the tens, hundreds, and millions, the cashier also became enthusiastic from nervousness. "Sir, please keep your card." Lin Qing was excited. This time travel was quite comfortable. By the way, what did his mother go home for? She shouldn't go to mess with the brother and sister. After returning to his residence, Lin Qing released the starving round land shark. When the round land shark saw the food on the table, his eyes turned into stars. He didn't need to be taught. He just held a bottle in each hand and fed himself to death. Now Lin Qing is thinking about how to develop in the future. He remembered that his mother said that there would be an elf academy opening the day after tomorrow. He told him that if he was in the mood, he could go and have a look. It should have been arranged. Then he took out his mobile phone and started to check. Elf Academy, Qingliu City's gold medal university, ranked second in Qingliu City, a 3-year system, and Lin Qing happened to find his admission notice on his mobile phone. He didn't need to see it, he knew that his mother paid for it. After looking at this, Lin Qing still felt that he had to go and have a look. He had been working for a long time in his previous life and missed campus life. If he was really bored, he could go again. Then Lin Qing began to check his mobile phone information and photos, as well as social media. He felt a headache when he saw that he used to talk to people on his social media accounts. In this previous life, when Lin Qing was in high school, he not only looked for people to fight everywhere, but also formed gangs, ate, drank, hoard and gambled every day, and never did any good things. Now Lin Qing looked at his crotch with some embarrassment. If this thing has any disease, it would be a bit ridiculous. He will go to the hospital for a physical examination later. What disease? Treat it first. Just when Lin Qing was worried about whether he had any disease, the round land shark next to him had finished eating and was sitting on the ground with a satisfied look on his face, and he burped. Lin Qing looked at the little guy. He remembered that elves must be trained from childhood to become strong, and now it is the golden training stage at this age. Naturally, Lin Qing did not want to rely on his parents all the time. Since he came here, he must become a strong man. Become the top existence in this world. So the round land shark, which was just born 1 day ago, was dragged by Lin Qing to run on the street after eating and drinking. Today is not difficult, physical training is enough. Enhance physical strength. This round land shark is also quite well behaved. It followed Lin Qing all the way without stopping. Its physical fitness is indeed impressive. And pedestrians along the way, whenever they saw this shining round land shark, they all looked sideways and stopped to look at it for a few more times. Oh my, flashing dragon quasi-god. This must be worth 100 million alliance coins. Walking alliance coins. People around began to talk about it, and the shock they showed made Lin Qing feel a little embarrassed. There were also several adults who wanted to pay for Lin Qing's, but they were all rejected by him. After running for more than an hour, Lin Qing looked at the already exhausted round land shark and took it home first. After all, it was the first day of its birth and it was afraid that it would affect its development if it was too exhausted. After returning to the residence, Lin Qing opened the after the system mentioned the store of everything, it called the system out. System, how do you use this store of everything? Is there anything to exchange for food? Dear Master, the store of everything can mainly exchange Pokémon balls, Pokémon medicine, tree fruits, Pokémon items, Pokémon evolution stones, Pokémon carrying items, energy cubes, etc. There are also some food, but they are random every day. Okay, Lin Qing said and started searching for things that can help the current round land shark, and they are not expensive. After searching for about half an hour, Lin Qing found a carrying item, dragon scale, and spent 500,000 alliance coins. It can enhance the defense and resistance of dragon-type Pokémon. And the round land shark with the characteristics of rough skin and sand hiding is naturally suitable for this. Rough skin. The hidden characteristic of the round land shark can rebound part of the close-range attack to the attacker. If it is equipped with dragon scales, the effect should be the same as wearing close-range anti-armor. Lin Qing's body will also benefit from the dragon god body, and he also has these characteristics. If there are more dragon elves in the future, his characteristics and skills can be said to be very abnormal. That night, when he fell asleep, Lin Qing lay on the bed and swiped his phone boredly. He looked at the contacts, including those of his mother Huo Xia, his sister Lin Qianchen, and a group of followers. But when Lin Qing scrolled to the bottom, he saw a woman's contact information and subconsciously opened the chat history. Ah Qing, can you please stop hurting them? I beg you. Okay. Are you sick? Why do you care about my business? What do you mean by you? Don't think that I won't do anything to you just because you are engaged to me, you fool. Don't care about my business, or I will let you know my methods. After reading for a long time, Lin Qing was confused. It turned out that the owner of this body had a fiancée named Sirona. I just don't know if it was the one in the anime. But the Lin Qing before was indeed a scumbag. The current Lin Qing wanted to slap himself after looking at the chat history. Before, this Lin Qing not only asked Sharona for money to gamble every day, but also often scolded her and would fight her if they disagreed. Because of their business dealings, their parents brought them together and made an engagement. Lin Qing's mother also thought that he might be more restrained if he had a fiancé. But who knew that this guy was the typical one who didn't want to live another episode? He often harassed pretty girls. His fiancée Sharona stuck to him every day and scolded and beat him because he was disgusted by women arranged by others. But by chance, he fell in love with Sharona's best friend Mary and wanted to get someone else's body through oppression and intimidation. In the end, he was discovered by Mary's trainer brother. He challenged Lin Qing and a dozen gangsters with his super strength, and then a tile-breaking man hit his head. Lin Qing went into the hospital with mental disorder and lay there for 3 months. Lin Qing turned off his phone in anger. It was unforgivable for this guy not to die. After thinking about it, he actually had a fiancé, and then fell asleep. The next morning, when the first ray of sunlight shone into Lin Qing's room, the round land shark little shark opened his eyes first, then jumped onto the table and drank a large can of milk. Lin Qing was awakened by the burping of the round land shark. He looked at his phone with some confusion. It was 6 o'clock in the morning. What are you going to do? School starts tomorrow. Let's go, little shark. Let's go for a run. In order to become stronger, I will give you special skills training in a few days. Lin Qing said and was about to go out. Little shark was also ready to go out. Just then, his door was suddenly knocked. Who could it be? The knock was very light and gentle. Was it his mother? But when Lin Qing opened the door, he saw a fairy-like and charming blonde woman with a nervous look on her face, looking down, as if she was a little afraid of the people in the room, and holding a bag of things in a timid manner. Lin Qing recognized that this was the woman in the phone yesterday, the fiancée of the previous owner of this body, Sharona, who looked only 16 years old, and had no mature queen style on TV. I heard that you were discharged from the hospital. I wanted to come and see you. Sharona said nervously with her head down, and her eyes would occasionally secretly glance at Lin Qing inside, as if she was afraid that the other party would get angry. Lin Qing knew that it must be his mother who told her, and subconsciously invited Sharona to come into the room. Sharona entered the room in a panic, and then she saw the shining round land shark sitting on the table tearing open the elf food to eat. Her eyes throbbed. The dragon quasi-god, she had especially wanted this one since she was a child. Have you eaten? Lin Qing asked politely after gently closing the door. No, I brought some breakfast, for you. Sharona looked at the man nervously. She heard that he had lost his memory. She was half believing and half doubting, and she was still a little scared, fearing that this future fiancé would hit her and accuse her of meddling in other people's business. Oh, thank you, I was just thinking about going out to eat, let's eat together. Lin Qing said as he opened all the things Sharona brought, and motioned for the other party to sit down. Seeing Lin Qing suddenly change, Sharona looked at him blankly, still a little scared. After sorting out her thoughts, she slowly said, Ah Qing, I actually have something to ask you. I know you may hate me, but I really can't bear to see my good friend continue to be hurt. Can you please ask your mother not to call the police to arrest them? They are all very good people. Mary and her brother Mark, they have always been very good to me. Can you ask your mother to withdraw the lawsuit today? School will start tomorrow. It will affect their schooling. Looking at Lin Qing, who was still eating without talking, Sharona became even more panicked. She stood up and said with some sobs, as long as you promise me, I will give you my monthly living expenses in the future. I will listen to you in everything. Don't hurt my friend, please. Lin Qing was suddenly stunned. He had taken a shot of tranquilizer and 2 sleeping pills from yesterday to now and hadn't eaten anything. He didn't listen to what the other party said while eating. When he reacted, the other party was already crying. What did you say just now? I was so hungry just now. I didn't pay attention, sorry. Lin Qing apologized awkwardly with his hands clasped together. After listening to it, he immediately called his mother. Mom, it's me. Withdraw the accusation against Mary's brother and sister. I was wrong that day. No, if people know that you can hurt my son of Huosha and still be safe, what will happen in the future? Then Lin Qing replied seriously, Mom, please. I will go to school. The other party was silent after a moment. She said helplessly, if you go to school, mother promises you, good son. I will give you another 2 million as food expenses for the start of school. Absolutely. After Lin Qing hung up the phone with an embarrassed look on his face, he felt relieved when he saw Sharona playing happily with the round land shark Little Shark. It seems that Little Shark likes you very much. Lin Qing said lightly. Is it called Little Shark? What a cute child. Sharona's eyes shone with light. She had dreamed of the round land shark since she was a child, and she must capture one day in the future. By the way, school starts tomorrow. Are you also in the Pokémon Academy? I saw on the internet that freshmen must have an amateur Pokémon. What is yours? Lin Qing asked with some confusion. In fact, he wanted to have a Pokémon battle. I have an elite Eevee, and I plan to evolve it into an ice spirit. That's great. Fight with me. Lin Qing shouted excitedly. He wanted to see the strength of his quasi-god. I won't fight you, Sharona said nervously. Why? I'm afraid you'll lose and… No, don't worry. I was sick before, now I'm fine. Let's go, Nana, Lin Qing said calmly, and then put the shark away. Nana, Sharona blushed and stared blankly at the man who asked her for money every day before. This was the first time she called him that. In the morning, in the square outside the apartment, Lin Qing released Shark Ordinary Mid-Level and Sharona released Eevee Elite Low-Level. It has to be said that the confidence of the future champion trainer in battle cannot be concealed, and Lin Qing also saw Sharona's determined eyes. Let's go, Eevee. Use high-speed movement. Lin Qing saw that the other party had already started to move, and he also commanded the land shark, Little Shark, let that Eevee see how powerful you are. Use Sand Splash. But the opponent's contemptuous smile made Lin Qing realize the current situation. The opponent dodged the sand-throwing move of the round land shark, and the opponent had already rushed over quickly. Although the short-legged round land shark was a quasi-god, he was only 2 days old and was fighting with an adult Eevee. It was too much. Little shark, use quicksand hell. Shark. After hearing Lin Qing's order, the round land shark also released the skill seriously, trying to control the opponent's actions. But the quicksand hell with a slow condensation speed naturally couldn't keep up with the Eevee, who had already blessed the high-speed movement. Sharona smiled indifferently. Eevee. Shadow clone, ram attack. In almost an instant, Eevee directly turned into 9 afterimages surrounding the round land shark, grinning and preparing to attack. Not to mention the little shark, Lin Qing couldn't tell which one was real. The result was obvious, the quasi-god round land shark lost the first battle. It's okay, little shark, you've only been out of your shell for 2 days. You're still too young to be compared to a 3-year-old Eevee. We'll definitely win back later. Lin Qing comforted him calmly. And Sharona, who had taken back Eevee, was looking at Lin Qing nervously, because he had to fight her before, and Sharona always won, and he would always take out his temper on her. Either he beat or scolded her, and sometimes he would beat his own original Pokémon Charmander. By the way, where is his 3-starter Pokémon Charmander? That. Ah Qing. Where is your Charmander? Sharona asked with some doubts. She remembered that the Charmander was a starter Pokémon that his mother Horsa had spent a lot of money to get from the Alliance. But Lin Qing before was too lazy to train. If Charmander lost, he would have no food to eat, and sometimes he would be beaten and scolded by him. He lived a very miserable life. It can be said that his aptitude was very good, but his development had fallen behind due to malnutrition. My Charmander. Lin Qing now would definitely not remember it. He still had a Charmander. Then he closed his eyes silently, and asked in his mind, System. Where is the Charmander before this body of mine? Querying. Please wait. Hello, Master. After checking, the previous Charmander has been abandoned by the previous owner of this body. 3 months ago, it was in the Qingliu forest in the suburbs. Lin Qing was annoyed. He threw away the 3 great Pokémons. Was this guy kicked in the head by Kentaro or pinched by a giant crab before? System. Let me ask, the ability of the dragon-type Pokémon you mentioned can be used in the dragon god body. Can it be named with dragon? Answer Master. To be precise, as long as there are dragon-type species in its evolutionary path, it means that it has dragon blood, and the ability host of the Pokémon with dragon blood can also be used through the dragon god body. After getting the answer, Lin Qing returned to reality again. Now he was worried about a problem. If the Charmander he threw away was subdued by someone, it would be a headache. Go get it back later. Nana, go back and tell Mary and the others that I'm sorry for what happened before. Lin Qing was too embarrassed to say that he had abandoned her, so he let Sharona go back first and he would go find her. After Sharona left, Lin Qing started walking towards the suburbs according to the map on his phone. After walking for more than 2 hours, at noon, Lin Qing took the rice ball that Sharona brought in the morning and ate one and continued to look for it. Finally, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, he arrived at Qingliu Forest. When he came here, he saw 2 house birds Bobo chasing a house insect green caterpillar. Will the little fire dragon still be here? Lin Qing was still a little worried. This little fire dragon is not affordable for ordinary people in this world, because the 3 families are normally controlled by the 3 families of the Alliance, and there are almost no in the wild. And the 3 families encountered in the wild are likely to be less qualified than the multi-generation 3 families cultivated by the Alliance with manpower and material resources. Just when Lin Qing walked to the middle of the woods, he saw a stream, and there were a few mosquito coil tadpoles playing in the water. But just when Lin Qing wanted to wash his face, the mosquito coil tadpoles suddenly dived into the stream, as if they had sensed something terrible. Lin Qing looked back in surprise, and his heart was scared at the time. An elite low-level Arctic snake was spitting out its tongue and looking at him with a playful look. Just when Lin Qing was a little surprised, the Arctic snake directly launched an attack, which was its special trick of poison needle attack. Lin Qing directly dodged horizontally with all his strength. Is this its territory? You have chosen the wrong opponent. Regret it. Lin Qing's eyes turned cold, and he quickly stretched out his right palm and shouted suddenly, Quicksand hell. In an instant, several pieces of sand appeared around the Arctic snake and directly wrapped it in the sand. Lin Qing was unable to move. The speed and power of the quicksand hell released by Lin Qing were actually stronger than that of the round land shark. This was something he had not expected. Then the Arbok, who was about to be suffocated by the sand, was captured by him and put into the Pokeball. At this moment, Lin Qing saw a somewhat timid figure appearing on the other side of the stream. Charmander. There was no mistake. There was a cross scar on his forehead, which was caused by Lin Qing beating him with a crowbar. When Charmander saw that the person coming was Lin Qing, he was so scared that he immediately ran into the woods without looking back. Hey, Charmander, don't go. I'll take you home. I'm here to find you. I was wrong before. Lin Qing chased after him. When Charmander heard Lin Qing say to take it home, it began to cry, crying and running all the way without looking back. Hey, Lin Qing sighed helplessly behind him. He wanted to cast a quicksand hell directly, but he was afraid that Charmander would have a grudge. After chasing for about 5 minutes, Lin Qing finally held Charmander's head. Charmander, I'll take you home. You've suffered so much in the past few months. Lin Qing felt distressed when he saw the frightened Charmander. The Charmander was covered with scars, and was probably abused by Lin Qing. Charmander was a little scared. He didn't know what the man was looking for him for. Although he had thought about going back countless times, Pokémons would recognize their masters and never change for the rest of their lives. For countless days and nights, he had imagined that Lin Qing would come back and take him away from this place. He met many trainers who wanted to subdue him, but when they saw his bruised and malnourished body, they left with some disappointment. Lin Qing said nothing. He silently took out a bag of Pokémon food and fed it to him. Charmander ate it with some sobs. At this moment, Lin Qing also saw the attribute panel of Charmander. Qualification. Amateur low-level qualification decline caused by acquired malnutrition. Skills. Sparks, Howl, Grab, Impact. Features. Water diversion. Water diversion. Divert water attribute moves to yourself, ignore the damage, and increase your special attack. Special attack +1. Anti-attribute giant. Lin Qing said in surprise. Lin Qing remembered that there was a fire-breathing dragon with the characteristic of water storage on TV, which was extremely violent. Water-drawing characteristic. Wouldn't it be possible to rub the head of the water-breathing turtle in the shit in the future? Then Lin Qing exchanged a fireball in the system store and took the malnourished little fire dragon in. Then he looked at the time again, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Should I go to the hospital for a comprehensive physical examination? The owner of this body before was not a good person. Bars, clubs, nightclubs and various clubs are like a stud who lets himself go. I don't know if he has kept his seed before. If a girl comes to find her father with a child in a few days, it will be Fugu taking off and he will be a father from the beginning. And now Lin Qing is more worried about whether this guy has any disease in his body. Thinking of this, Lin Qing swallowed subconsciously and set off for the urban hospital in Qingliu City. The first thing to do when crossing is to check if you have any disease or terminal illness. It is estimated that Lin Qing is also the first person in the crossing world. After an hour of examination in the hospital, the blood pressure and heart were normal, the spleen was very weak, the kidneys were also a little weak, the lungs were also a little black. The doctor sighed and held the documents and said, "Young man, tell me, how old are you this year?" 18. Don't smoke. Don't drink. Don't indulge in nightlife too much. Once every 2 days is enough. If you don't control yourself, you will get sick. Even Hua Tuo can't save you. Thank you, doctor. Lin Qing took the documents and went to the last place for a male examination on the spot. He cursed all the way. Fortunately, they were all minor problems that could be adjusted, but the people who came to see the doctor next to him thought he had found some terminal illness and began to complain about the world. Lin Qing swallowed subconsciously when he came to the male urology department. Basically, the people who came here for examination were older men in their 30s and 40s, and he was the youngest. The nurse next to him also looked at the men who came to check the thing from time to time. Although she had no expression on her face, Lin Qing felt that the other party was insulting him by looking at him. Next, Lin Qing. Lin Qing walked in with a proud face, and then the doctor gave him a small jar and asked him to go to the toilet to get the goods. Lin Qing took the jar and went to the men's toilet with a proud face. After a while, Lin Qing returned to the urology department with the goods the doctor wanted. Love at the corner. When turning the corner, the hand holding the jar happened to bump into a young nurse coming from the side. It was Xiaoying who had just asked her family to transfer from the mental hospital to the city hospital. The unknown thing spilled all over Xiaoying, and the two of them were embarrassed. As a nurse, how could Xiaoying not know what was in the jar? My God, Master Lin, Xiaoying said with a red face and embarrassment. Her eyes were full of panic, and she randomly found something to wipe the things that spilled on her body. Lin Qing was also confused. He swallowed awkwardly and walked away. Later, he asked the doctor to test him. Except for the amount, the rest of the values were normal. Lin Qing finally breathed a sigh of relief and could go back to sleep peacefully. When Lin Qing walked out of the door of the testing room, holding a report in his hand, he became tough. His expression was very arrogant, and he inadvertently revealed mysterious confidence from time to time. There were also a few hunchbacked elder brothers holding reports and sighing and smoking at the door. The implication was self-evident. The nurses around him also looked at the report and Lin Qing, who walked with the wind, as if they were looking at a fool, and laughed non-stop. After leaving the hospital, Lin Qing happened to meet an acquaintance at the gate, the female nurse who gave him a sedative in the mental hospital and just spilled his treasure, Xiaoying. Master Lin. Xiaoying saw that Lin Qing also blushed, subconsciously lowered her head, and her eyes were a little evasive. I don't know what she was thinking. Seeing that she had changed her clothes, Lin Qing asked calmly, "Are you off work?" "It's only 6 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm so sorry just now, I didn't look around when I was walking." "Ah, no, it's okay. I'm off work. I'm on the day shift today." Sakura blushed and looked embarrassed. She borrowed this dress from her colleague. She had put the nurse's uniform in her bag and was about to go back to wash it. "Do you want to go out for dinner? Even if it's an apology to you," Lin Qing said softly, and then began to look for restaurants around. "Hey, follow me." Sakura looked embarrassed. She knew that Lin Qing was the second son of the Lin family and was a well-known figure in the entire Qingliu city. Seeing that Lin Qing was already looking for a restaurant, Sakura's heartbeat kept accelerating. Although she heard that this man was a playboy, she felt that it didn't seem to be the case. "Let's go. Go there. Elf restaurant. You can also let the elves out to eat," Lin Qing said as he released both Little Shark and Little Charmander. Shark, woo, ah. The two little guys looked at each other as soon as they met. Little Shark, like a gangster, directly fiddled with Little Charmander's arms, then its tail, and then when he saw the flame on the Little Charmander's tail, he began to have wild thoughts. "You must live in peace in the future. Especially you, Little Shark, don't think you can be naughty just because you are young." Quote. Shark. After arriving at the Pokémon Tavern, Sakura looked at Lin Qing, who was getting along very well with the Pokémons, and she was also yearning. She also liked Pokémons very much, but ordinary families could not afford to raise them. In this world, the wild is full of dangers. Many carnivorous Pokémons have their own territories. If ordinary people do not have powerful Pokémons, they will be in danger of being preyed upon if they accidentally break in. Once, an adventurer broke into the waters of Gyarados and his whereabouts were unknown. Some people claimed that he was eaten by carnivorous Pokémons. And if ordinary people want to cultivate powerful Pokémons, it is almost extremely difficult. It is okay for those who eat less in their infancy. For example, the food cost of 3 meals a day for a little shark is tens of thousands of alliance coins, which ordinary people can't afford. Most people will choose Pokémons that don't need to be fed much, such as Grasshopper, Pidgeot, Geodude, and Magnemite, as their initial Pokémons in the early stage. After all, Magnemite will be full when it sits on the socket when it is hungry. "That, Master Lin, did you go for an inspection today?" Suddenly Xiaoying said this. She seemed to want to find a topic to talk about, but it would be fine if she didn't mention it. As soon as she mentioned it, Lin Qing panicked. As if trying to prove something, Lin Qing said excitedly with the report, "Look. I'm fine. Don't think too much. I just have regular checkups. It's that simple." If a man is suspected of having problems in that area, anyone would get excited, and Lin Qing is no exception. But now Xiaoying looked at Lin Qing dancing with joy over the report. Her face had turned red like an apple, and it was visible to the naked eye, from her neck to the top of her head. I didn't mean that. I just asked casually," Xiaoying said in a panic with her head down, her heart trembling. Lin Qing also realized that he had lost his composure and touched his head awkwardly. Just then, a waiter from the restaurant came over with a menu with a kind face. "Hello, what would you like to order?" A total of 4 servings were ordered, and the two of them started eating, and then the two began to chat familiarly. Xiaoying is 20 years old this year, 2 years older than Lin Qing. Because her family had no money to support her to go to the Spirit Academy, they enrolled her in a medical school. She had been taking care of patients in Qingliu City Mental Hospital before, and today she suddenly received a call from home. Her family finally successfully asked a friend to transfer her to the city hospital, and she lived alone behind the Spirit Academy. After she had eaten and drunk her fill, she also left Lin Qing a contact number. Before leaving, she said playfully, "The rumored devil turned out to be this kind of person who deceives little girls. Don't try to hit on me. I know you have a fiancé. Lululu." Lin Qing smiled awkwardly. He was indeed hungry just now. The doctor told him to eat more and take care of himself. He saw her and invited her. That's all. Looking at the time, it was almost 8 o'clock in the evening. Lin Qing wanted to go shopping on the street. When he was examined in the hospital today, he heard from several people that some places would sell elves. He also wanted to go and see, and buy some tonics for his little fire dragon. It would be better to find a breeder to check his physical condition and prescribe the right medicine. When he came to the free trade market in Qingliu City, Lin Qing saw a dazzling array of shops and stalls, some selling tree fruits, some selling elf eggs, some selling elf food, and some selling live elves. The hawking sounds were endless along the way, making it noisy. Come and see. Newly arrived meow meow, amateur qualification, only 2 million alliance coins. No cheating. Walking grass. Walking grass. The fattest and biggest walking grass in Qingliu City is 1.5 million alliance coins. Handsome guy over there, do you want to draw a blind egg? 500,000 alliance coins per draw. I heard there are quasi-gods in it. I'm not a good person if I lie to you. Lin Qing listened to the hawking of these funny people and admired them. For example, the one who drew the blind egg felt that many of the elf eggs in the basket were handicrafts, only 1,000 alliance coins each, they really know how to play. After walking for about 10 minutes, Lin Qing didn't find a place like a breeding house, so he sat down and looked at his system store. Let me see. Fire-type nutrients that can repair body functions. How about giving some to Charmander first? But just when Lin Qing was struggling, he seemed to notice a button. This system can also recycle and sell. At that time, he took a Pokeball to try it out. It was originally bought in the system for 1,000 alliance coins, and it was recycled for 1,000 alliance coins. Great, I got it. The people next to him looked at Lin Qing, who was pointing at the trash can in front of him, and thought he was the one who lost everything because of the blind egg. Recycle at the original price. Are you sure this function can be used, system? Yes, master. Any questions? Lin Qing swallowed subconsciously. Although he was an orphan in his previous life, he bought a house and a car at a young age, and it was a sports car, thanks to his unique business mind. If this system can be recycled at the original price, then this Qingliu City is destined to have a new richest man. Lin Qing looked at the money in his card, plus his mother gave him another 2 million alliance coins, a total of nearly 4 million alliance coins. Then he looked at the magnificent elf department store next to him, his eyes flashed with coldness, and he bought a mask and went in excitedly. As soon as he entered the mall, Lin Qing went straight to the cashier without choosing anything, and said to the cashier with a calm face, "Call your boss or manager out, I have a multi-million project." The cashier was stunned when she heard this, and saw this man with a mask. His clothes added up to no more than 200, and he was wearing a mask. It was obvious that he was not a good person. She was in a panic at the time. Security. Security. There is a dog Diao here. Pull him out quickly. Lin Qing looked at the 2 security guards who came over from behind speechlessly. Wait, I'm here to buy something. Half an hour later, Lin Qing bought a Pokeball by swiping his bank card and successfully met their manager. What? 5,000 Pokeballs? Are you sure, Mr. Lin? The other party looked at Lin Qing in confusion. Not to mention whether there were so many Pokeballs, how to count them was still a problem. Lin Qing said calmly while holding the bank card, "Well, here are 4 million. I want 5,000, and I want a 20% discount. If you can do it, do it. If not, I will go to another store now. Yes, yes, yes. Father Lin. No, young Master Lin, wait a moment, I'll make a phone call, it will only take half an hour. The slightly fat manager was so excited that his crotch was torn open, and he went to call people immediately without caring. Half an hour later, a truckload of Pokeballs was delivered. Lin Qing paid the money and asked them to go back. He got on the truck alone and opened the system store panel with expectation. If you can't recycle it, do you believe I will kill you? Lin Qing looked at the system in the panel with a cold face and threatened. He spent all his worth and exchanged a truckload of Pokeballs, a total of 5,000. When Lin Qing opened the system panel, he was surprised to see the sales quantity. The recycling price was still 1,000. He selected all and clicked confirm. The original 0 Alliance coins turned into 5 million Alliance coins in a second. Earned 1 million in half an hour. The system got anxious on the spot, and shouted with an angry face, "Are you trying to find a bug with me? I won't let you play like this. Other time travelers are not as stupid as you. This will cause an economic crisis." Lin Qing didn't care about his tricks, and said with an indignant face, "This is what you said, that you can recycle it at the original price. I just saw the system's complaint button. Don't force me, I'm sick. I just came out of a mental hospital. You, don't force me." Lin Qing continued to threaten. The system cursed speechlessly, but there was nothing it could do. This was their own setting. In one night, Lin Qing ran through all the large shopping malls in Qingliu City. He didn't miss any of the large-scale consumption. It was more than 4 o'clock in the morning, and there were more than 20 million Alliance coins in the card. He was not sleepy at all. Seeing the time, it was already slightly bright. Lin Qing simply found a place to eat something. He had been busy all night for 20 million Alliance coins. He secretly said to himself that it was a sin to stay up late again. Staying up late was so delicious. He might as well stay up until he died. After finishing breakfast, he looked at the time. School starts at 9 o'clock today. Should he buy a building near the school? Investing in real estate to collect rent to cultivate elves, isn't that lying down to cultivate? And he can fix bugs. Thinking of this, he called his mother. "Mom, lend me 100 million. I'll pay you back later." The sleepy Huo Sha thought that Lin Qing, who had just come out of the mental hospital, had a mental illness again. She was confused and didn't speak for a long time. "Mom, I want to invest. School starts in 3 hours, I will pay you back in 3 hours. I will listen to you and go to class." Investment. Huo Sha was a little confused to hear her prodigal son actually say the word investment, and she didn't react for a long time. "You are the best. Mom, if you don't pay you back in 3 hours, I will listen to you in the future." Sometimes it is really a technical job to flatter shareholders. 2 minutes later, Lin Qing looked at the 100 million Alliance coins that had been received, and his heart was full of joy. Elf Evolution Stone. One piece is 1 million Alliance coins. If you can negotiate to buy it at a 25% discount. 2 hours later, Lin Qing had earned 1 billion Alliance coins by reselling a large number of evolution stones, and gave his mother Huo Sha 100 million. Later, he set his sights on Shushang Yayuan, a high-end school district housing community next to their school. He directly bought a building closest to their school for 200 million, with a total of 2 units, 30 floors, and 243 bedroom and 1 living room. Buy a house to test the waters and see if the house price can go up. If it can't go up, he can still earn 1 million yuan a month from rent. Even if the system crashes or his mother goes bankrupt, he won't starve to death. Looking at the time, it's almost time to report, so Lin Qing is also planning to leave. "Let's go. School is starting. Let's see the style of this elf academy. I still miss it," Lin Qing said lightly, and then walked in. Surrounded by bustling boys and girls, filled with a strong campus atmosphere, Lin Qing looked at those young female and male students and was also stunned. Then he found a problem. Those students were afraid to hide from him when they saw him, as if they knew who he was. Some students whispered to the students who didn't know about it, "Don't get close to him. This is the second young master of the Lin family. If you offend him, you will end up badly. He is a well-known gangster leader." Lin Qing looked at the students who were talking about him speechlessly. He was labeled as a bad person on the first day of school. It was amazing. In a place like school, all kinds of gossips are spread from one person to 10, and from 10 to 100. At this time, an abrupt voice sounded behind Lin Ching. It sounded like his throat was blocked by phlegm. It was extremely unpleasant, like a pig's cry. Brother Lin. Hee, brother, I've come to this place too. I've come to you. Ha ha ha. A fat man ran over with a proud face, looking like Lin Ching's younger brother. Lin Ching looked at the man in a daze. Is this a student? No one dared to mess with this fat man in prison. He must be a big brother. The meat on his neck was like 3 layers of fat, shaking back and forth. You, who is it? Lin Ching replied speechlessly. This girl walking with this fat guy must have confirmed the label of not a good person. Ha ha, brother Lin is really good at joking. I'm Zhang Hu. I heard that you were discharged from the hospital and arranged a place for you tonight. I called 2 new girls from the Red Romantic Club for you. Their faces and bodies are definitely your taste. I'll pick you up tonight. The fat man's voice was loud and unpleasant, especially when he said that he arranged 2 women for Lin Ching. He deliberately raised the decibel, and his expression was extremely obscene. Anyone who saw him would think he was not a good person. The female students next to him fled in fear, including the young female teachers, who didn't want to get into trouble. Lin Ching sighed in annoyance. You're sick. Don't follow me. Zhang Hu was stunned when he heard this. Looking at Lin Ching, who had already walked away, he suddenly had an idea. Could it be that 2 people were too few? Zhang Hu thought about it and took out his mobile phone to call someone. Tonight, find me 2 more female students from Qingliu College. They must have big butts. If you are ugly, I will skin you alive. The female students next to them were so scared that they quickly hid in the teaching building. This man was a well-known rogue in Qingliu City. I don't know why the school accepted these people. Is it so short of money? Then Lin Ching came to the square and went to the opening ceremony and saw the elderly principal. Then he got the number plate of his assigned class. He looked around all the way and finally arrived at his class. Qingliu College, Grade 1, Class 6, the head teacher is a female teacher named Karen, who looks about 25 years old and should have been in the teaching industry for a short time. Although she wears conservative clothes, her outstanding appearance and hot body have always been the topic of conversation among the male teachers of the college after dinner. Lin Ching chose a seat near the back window and sat down. There was a pencil drawing of an elf drawn by a student who had sat in this seat on the table. Judging from the pink and red heart stickers on the chair, it should be a seat where a girl had sat. Ah, Ching, good morning. Suddenly a familiar voice came from the right. Lin Ching turned his head and saw that it was his fiancée, Sirona. Hello, Nana, why are you in this class too? Lin Ching asked with some doubts. Later, he figured it out. It must have been arranged by his mother Huosha to put them in the same class and sit in the same seat. It must be to keep an eye on him so that he won't rebel in school. Since Lin Ching asked his mother to withdraw the lawsuit and stop accusing Mary and her brother and sister, Sirona felt that Lin Ching seemed to have really changed, and he hadn't asked Sirona for money for 3 days, which was simply impossible before, so she was still relatively happy. Then I'll sit here. You won't be angry, will you? Sirona said nervously as she sat next to Lin Ching. No, I'm very happy that you sit next to me. Sirona felt warm in her heart. Her fiancé seemed to have become gentler. She couldn't be dreaming. Just when the 2 of them were somewhat affectionate, the door of the classroom was suddenly blocked by 5 young men who looked like gangsters. Brother! The 5 people shouted excitedly at Lin Ching inside. Lin Ching was also confused when he looked at the leader Zhang Hu. This group of Daomao absolutely came to find him. The students next to him were scared to death, thinking that a group fight was going to happen, and they took out their Pokeballs. Chapter 11. Stop. What are you doing? These are students from our class. Who told you that you can release elves to fight in school? Put them back. Karen, the head teacher, said with an angry face, patting the desk with a blackboard eraser. Those students immediately took back the elf balls. Zhang Hu looked at the group of students with a fierce face, snorted coldly, and then took 4 younger brothers to the back of the classroom. The 5 of them took up the last row. They looked like bad people, which made Sirona, who was sitting in the aisle, a little nervous. Let's change seats. You sit inside, Nana. Lin Ching stood up, which made Sharona slightly stunned, and her cheeks suddenly turned red. When Jongwoo saw Lin Qing sitting in the aisle, he also sat on the other side of the aisle. He thought that Lin Qing came to find him, and he was very excited. Jongwoo looked at Sharona sitting inside Lin Qing. He knew her. This was his future sister-in-law. His eyes were rolling around, thinking about how to tell Lin Qing that he had arranged a few female students for Lin Qing in the evening. If the eldest sister-in-law knew about this, he would definitely get in trouble. All right, be quiet, classmates. Let's start the roll call. Students who haven't found a seat yet, hurry up and sit down. With the urging of the head teacher Karen, the other students who were looking for seats were panicked, because only the second to last row of seats were empty, and behind that was the group of gangsters. No one dared to sit down. This seat lasted for a whole semester. Every day was in fear. Mary, come here, Sharona, who was next to Lin Qing, shouted excitedly. Among those students was her best friend Mary. Come, here, there's a seat in front of me. Lin Qing looked at the girl. Was this the girl that the owner of this body wanted to occupy before? She looked arrogant. Her figure was not as good as Sharona's. She was cute. But the world-weary look showed that she was a violent loli. When she came over, she looked at Lin Qing with indignation, snorted coldly, and sat in front of Sharona. When Jongwoo saw Mary, he had an idea. He turned around and looked at his 4 younger brothers with wretched faces. Isn't this woman the one that brother Lin wanted to get before? If she is knocked unconscious tonight and sent over, brother Lin will be happy. It is possible to give tens of thousands of alliance coins to each person. Do it as soon as you say it. Several people hid in the back and started to plan. Wang Shen, here, Lin Qing, here. As the roll call ended, the head teacher Karen also began to talk about the history of their school. Elf Academy, an elf university located in the urban area of Qingliu City, and there are only 2 ways to go to this kind of university. One is to take the unified entrance examination, and you must have your own amateur elf to go. This one passes out most people. The second way is to be recommended by officials, which is to say, to go through the back door, and Lin Qing and the 5 younger brothers all came in through the back door. Absolutely. The principal was forced by the Lin family's background and the money given by Huosha to repair the school. He dared not even fart, and just asked the second son of Lin not to blow up his school. But Mary was different. She passed the exam by herself and had an amateur Morabek in her hand. Although her family conditions were not very good, she had a character that refused to admit defeat. She usually did not show her emotions, but once she was angry, it would take a long time to calm down. Her goal was to become a champion-level player. When she saw Lin Qing behind her, she didn't want to pay attention to him. After exchanging a few words with Sharona, she took a notebook and began to write down some things that the head teacher said. Lin Qing subconsciously looked around and found that except for him and Jongwoo, the 5 living Buddhas, who did not bring notebooks or pens, the rest of the students were writing. Lin Qing stood on tiptoe with an unhappy look on his face. He wanted to be a 3 good student, but now he has become the leader of this class. It's amazing. Brother, just when Lin Qing was a little dazed, Jongwoo, who was across the aisle, handed Lin Qing a small note with a flattering face. Lin Qing took it with a puzzled look on his face, opened it carefully and started to read it. He saw that Jongwoo wrote on the paper in extremely sloppy handwriting. Tonight, in room 403 of the Super 8 Hotel, 2 twin student sisters were caught. Brother Bao is satisfied. Brother has arranged it. And there is a big surprise. While Lin Qing was watching, Sharona next to him looked over with curiosity. What are you looking at? Lin Qing was startled on the spot, immediately blocked it, and then sat up straight and began to listen to the head teacher talk about the glorious deeds of the principal, and his face turned red instantly. This group of people is poisonous. Why didn't the previous owner of this body get caught? If he didn't go this night, would the 2 girls be ruined by Jongwoo and his men? Call the police. Jongwoo and the others will definitely expose what Lin Qing did before. Then he will have to go to jail and be ruined. It's amazing. You can't persecute the girl. Just leave it alone. Beat them up. No, I will sell Lin Qing out when I get anxious. What should I do? What should I do? Then Lin Qing thought for a long time and replied on the paper, whoever dares to touch them first, I will kill him. Jongwoo understood. There is no escape. It must be because he said he had found a woman with red romance before, and Brother Lin felt it was not clean. He was already why that Brother Lin would give them tens of thousands of alliance coins each tonight as usual. So cool. The morning passed quickly. Today was the first day to report to the class. The students found the class and cleaned it up before going back. The day after tomorrow, September 1st, is the first day of school. Lin Qing looked at Mary walking with Sharona in front of him and felt a little embarrassed. After all, he had done something wrong to her before. I'm sorry for what happened before. Mary, Lin Qing said in a low voice. Mary turned her head subconsciously to look at Lin Qing and continued to talk to Sharona, ignoring him completely, and rejected Lin Qing. After Lin Qing sighed awkwardly, he continued to follow behind, and at this time his phone rang. Zhang Hu sent 2 photos and the information of the 2 girls in the photos. Su Qinyan and Su Tianyan, twin sisters, the school beauties of the Elf Academy. Height 170, blood spraying measurements, average family background. Even if something goes wrong, they can be solved with money, and they look very beautiful. Lin Qing felt dry mouth when looking at the 2 photos. What are you thinking? I'm going to save people at night. Calm down. Lin Qing shook his head desperately, and then released the round land shark and the little dragon. Let's go. Run to the playground. Cool down. Lin Qing ran on the playground with the round land shark and the little dragon. The students around him all exclaimed, "Wow! Flashing quasi-god, I'd better drop out of school." Some students on the playground looked at someone running with an elf. Zhang Hu looked at Lin Qing and his flash quasi-god on the playground. His eyes lit up immediately, and he turned to the 4 younger brothers behind him and told them, "Look, Big Brother even has a flash quasi-god. His family must have given him money again. Prepare something exciting tonight. Only if Big Brother is happy, maybe each of us will give us 100,000 alliance coins." 100,000. Quote. Ah! The 4 younger brothers screamed with their eyes shining, and they looked more ugly than each other, and one of them had buck teeth. Then they followed Mary out of the school gate silently. And Sharona was also watching her fiancé running on the playground, which completely refreshed her worldview. Then she also ran with him, her face flushed. She didn't know what kind of person Lin Qing had become after losing his memory. She asked with some doubts. "Ah Qing, do you like me?" Quote. Yeah, I like you. Don't talk while running, it's easy to get a stitch in the side. I'll have a stomachache. Oh, I want to rent a house. I don't want to live on campus or at home. I want to be with Mary. Sharona blushed and said her thoughts in the afternoon. Yeah, okay, leave it to me. Sure enough, Lin Qing got a stitch in the side, and then he pulled Sharona to eat with a depressed look on his face, and took her to the building he bought. Live wherever you want. This is mine. The nearest school district house to our school. Lin Qing said proudly. Sharona's eyes lit up, and she said excitedly, "Why don't we open a student apartment? This building can collect at least 1 million in rent a month, right?" Well, I can. Let me think about it. Then Lin Qing went directly to the advertising company and started printing advertisements. Shushang Yayuan apartment. Girls pay 5,000 alliance coins a month, and school beauties can stay for free. Boys pay 20,000 alliance coins a month. Ugly men pay 50,000 alliance coins a month. There is no upper limit according to the degree of ugliness. Water and electricity are free. Internet fees are free. 1 month deposit. Return as soon as you leave. No delay or arrears. Not only Sharona was confused, but the artist of the advertising company was also confused. Customer, are you sure you want to do this kind of advertisement? Yes, money is for fun. Sharona knew that the high-end residential area of Shushang Yayuan was next to their school, and the normal rent was 10,000 gold coins per month, but Lin Qing directly reduced the rent for female students by half and doubled the rent for male students. I don't know who he learned this trick from. But don't tell me, as soon as the advertisement was sent out in the afternoon, the school's forum went crazy. Oh my god, only 5,000 for girls. Oh my god, a school dormitory costs 2,000 alliance coins a month. 5,000 for a 3-bedroom apartment. I want to rent it. I'll pay for a year first. Where's the landlord? Who is the landlord? Add his contact information and pay the deposit. And the male students were not calm either. The school has separate male and female dormitories, and there's a mountain in between. I can't even sing to my sister across the street at night. Anyone want to share a room with me? Let's go to Shushang Yayuan. Share a room +1. Take me with you. One afternoon, Lin Qing's phone kept ringing. When he saw the men, he put them aside and arranged accommodation for the girls first. As long as the girls moved in, the men might be willing to double the rent. And Lin Qing first looked at the girls' looks. As long as the pretty ones moved in, the chances of attracting the boys to rent a room at a high price would be even greater. After a busy afternoon, he arranged about 100 girls who all looked amazing, and added their contact information. Every girl had different thoughts when seeing such a young landlord. Then Lin Qing looked at the time. It was almost 7 o'clock in the evening. He had to go to rescue 2 people. He asked Serona to help those female students arrange rooms, and then he left first. At this time, the online forums were all in an uproar. Why are there no boys' rooms? Must it be tomorrow? Not today. Stop scolding, they said that the girls should move in first. I won't say anything more. I'll go to help the girls move their luggage first. The dog upstairs, put down your luggage and let me come. Schoolgirl, I'm here. I want to rent a room tomorrow too. Are there any schoolgirls who want to share the rent with me? I'll pay the rent. The idiot upstairs, do you have acne on your forehead? How dare you? For a while, whether it was the first, second, or third year male students, they were all thinking about queuing up to rent a room tomorrow. Because many of the class beauties have already moved in, and sent photos of their rooms, high-end decoration, fine furniture, super comfortable Simmons mattresses, and they are completely different from the school dormitories. Lin Qing looked at the phone that kept ringing, and his head was big. He turned on the silent mode and marked it on his signature. Today's room is full. Contact again at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Then he had no choice but to exhaled and came to the place Zhang Hu mentioned. As soon as he got downstairs, Lin Qing saw his 5 talented younger brothers, with extremely social expressions on their faces, and it seemed that they had not done many good things. Seeing Lin Qing coming over, Zhang Hu said flatteringly, "Brother, how much labor fee will you give to the brothers today?" Lin Qing was speechless. It seemed that these people were after money. After looking around and seeing that there was no one around, he took 5 stacks of alliance coins and threw them to them. I have something to do recently, so don't act on your own in the future. If you are short of money, tell me. Whoever doesn't listen can get out and don't hang out with me. Zhang Hu looked at the money in his hand with a look of astonishment, and was so shocked that he couldn't close his mouth for a long time. 200,000. Each of the younger brothers next to him had never seen so many alliance coins, and they expressed their opinions on the spot. Don't worry. The brothers listen to you the most. Ha ha ha, we will definitely be obedient in the future. After watching the group of gods leave, he entered the place with a worried look on his face. After arriving at the room they reserved, Lin Qing quietly closed the door. Then Lin Qing saw the 2 girls and thought about how to wake them up. What should he do? Just when Lin Qing was a little stunned, he suddenly heard someone talking inside. After he pushed the door open, he was dumbfounded on the spot. That Mary was also there. She was just talking in her sleep, and now she was sleeping with a dazed look on her face. Based on his conscience in his previous life, Lin Qing quietly opened the window and let the night breeze blow into the room. Then he looked at his mobile phone. In this case, he should wait and explain it in person. Later, Lin Qing released the little dragon. Looking at the scars on its body, he felt very distressed. Then he began to browse the system store to see what to buy first. After choosing for about half an hour, Lin Qing fed the little dragon a portion of the highest grade fire elf food and said, "Don't worry, I will heal you. I will find a breeding house tomorrow." Charmander felt pretty good, much better than before. He rubbed against Lin Qing's side with an intimate look, and Lin Qing was also relieved. After taking back Charmander, Lin Qing looked at the 3 girls who were still sleeping soundly with a confused look on his face. If he left them alone and waited for them to wake up, it would be impossible for them not to call the police based on Lin Qing's previous reputation. Lin Qing looked at the twin sisters with a worried look on his face, otherwise he would wait until dawn to explain to them clearly and keep watch here. Hide their mobile phones first, Otherwise they would call the police directly when they woke up and not give him a chance to explain, which would be troublesome. After searching for a while, Lin Qing put the two girls' mobile phones in his pocket. Then Lin Qing wanted to smoke a cigarette, so he touched one from the table and lit it, trying to cover up his inner restlessness with nicotine. But he didn't know that the cigarette was problematic. I don't know how long it took. Lin Qing opened his eyes a little exhausted. It was already 2 o'clock in the morning. Lin Qing looked at the two sisters lying next to him in a daze, and was numb on the spot. At this time, the two sisters woke up and started screaming on the spot, with a look of despair and pain. Beast! Beast! You will not die well. The younger sister Su Qinyan cursed with anger and shame, and the older sister Su Tianyan next to her was also terrified and looked unbelievable. Then she wanted to use her mobile phone to call the police. But Lin Qing had taken their mobile phones yesterday, and this time it was completely unclear. The night shift staff of the hotel also pretended not to hear the shouting here, because they received benefits from Zhonghu, and they all knew that this was the second young master of the Lin family, and no one dared to offend him. Asshole! Beast! I'm going to kill you! Su Qinyan said as she searched around for something, intending to fight with the man who took away their sisters' bodies. Lin Qing was also numb, so she would die. This time, her kindness failed, and she was completely confirmed as a beast. Seeing Su Qinyan holding an ashtray and smashing it towards Lin Qing's head, Lin Qing didn't even try to dodge, and blood immediately appeared on his forehead. Su Qinyan was also scared when she saw the blood. She had just used a lot of strength. She really wanted to kill him. Can you listen to me for a few words? I actually lost my memory, and I didn't know that I wanted to save you. But I didn't know that the cigarette was a bit problematic. Listening to Lin Qing's confusing words, the other party obviously didn't believe it. Sister, if I'm pregnant, I'll beat you. This world is so ugly. Su Tianyan said and looked at Lin Qing. I don't care whether what you said is true or not, I must call the police. I want justice for my sister. Su Tianyan's words revealed determination, and it was obvious that he wanted to fight Lin Qing, the beast, to the end. At this time, Lin Qing said helplessly, don't call the police. You are no match for my mother, how about this? I heard that you two need money, I have no other intentions, I just want to compensate you. Hehe, do you think you can cover the sky with money? My sister and I don't buy your tricks, put away your hypocrisy. Wait for jail. Half an hour later, the two sisters Su Tianyan and Su Qinyan looked at the text messages and transfer records in their mobile phones, with dull faces. 100 million each. Consider it my compensation for you. There are indeed some misunderstandings today. There is also a girl in the room who was also captured by others. Please help clarify it later, please. Lin Qing said helplessly. Su Tianyan, on the other side, was obviously still unmoved and was about to turn back, but was stopped by her sister Su Qinyan. Sister, don't be silly, if you give it to him, you will get nothing, and you probably won't win even if you call the police, we will suffer. But we can't sell our bodies and minds for money, sister. I can't do it. Then you can be my girlfriends. This money is just pocket money, and you can dump me after a few days. Isn't that okay? Lin Qing looked at the two girls and came up with a bad idea. The two girls looked at each other, thoughtfully. Early the next morning, Mary woke up from her coma. When she opened her eyes, she saw Su Qinyan and Su Tianyan, both sisters, with a flustered look on her face. Are you awake? Yesterday, it was Lin Qing's little brother who captured you and us without his permission. But Lin Qing didn't do anything to you, don't worry. We will testify for him. Later, Mary carefully checked her body and found that there was no problem. She looked unhappy and did not ask Lin Qing for mental damages. Before leaving, she said with resentment, I will definitely make Sharona leave you, a heartless beast. After Mary left, Lin Qing was a little embarrassed. He said awkwardly, thank you. I'm really sorry, if you need anything, just tell me, as long as I can do it. Su Qinyan and Su Tianyan also looked at him indifferently. Su Qinyan said, since you are our boyfriend, then okay, we plan to rent a house close to the school, you arrange it. So, the twin school beauties of the Elf Academy not only became Lin Qing's girlfriend, but also moved into the building that Lin Qing bought. After hearing that the school beauties had rented here, the rent for the boys doubled the next day, and they had already made a lot of money. They collected twice as much money as the normal rent. Lin Qing was also numb, hoping that the 5 live treasures would not make trouble again, otherwise they would really go to jail. Tomorrow is the first day of school, and Lin Qing started to get busy in the afternoon. He had not helped the little fire dragon to regulate his body before, and now he put this matter first. After lunch, Lin Qing found a Pokémon breeding house. When Lin Qing released the little Charmander, the breeder opposite him became a little sarcastic. "What do you do as a master? How did you become like this?" Lin Qing also nodded awkwardly. The breeder behind him carefully applied some ointment to the little Charmander, which made it scream in pain. Lin Qing also said that he was willing to spend any amount of money, please take care of it. In this case, at least 1 million alliance coins. And the diet must be adjusted. Fortunately, it has not evolved into a Charmeleon. Otherwise, it will be hopeless. You have to keep it here for a month. After a month, see the recovery effect. If everything goes well, then its stubborn disease can be repaired. Lin Qing also talked to the little Charmander for a long time, letting it rest assured that he would definitely come to pick it up after a month. Later, he gave the breeder 1.2 million and asked him to pay more attention. If the money is not enough, he can call at any time. The little fire dragon looked at Lin Qing, who had become a little different, with a look of satisfaction, and silently entered the warm room of the breeding house. After returning to his own duplex house in Shushang Yayuan, he released the round land shark. As soon as the round land shark came out, he looked at the new residence with curiosity, like a child looking for treasure. This will be our new home in the future. The first floor is where we sleep and eat, and the second floor is where you train. Come here and I will teach you how to train. Start training tonight. Lin Qing went up the stairs while talking to the little shark about his training plan, because the little shark was almost ready to start training. In the past few days, he ate excellent dragon elf food every day and had never stopped taking nutritional supplements. The special training plan for the round land shark is as follows. Endurance training. There is a treadmill for elves upstairs, and you run for at least 2 hours every day. Skill training. Practice skills such as ramming and grabbing by hitting sandbags and wooden stakes, so as to understand the double split as soon as possible, and the tricks such as throwing sand and quicksand hell need to be released against iron blocks. Dragon perception training. Mainly based on the dragon-type special move Dragon Fury, by eating dragon-type elf energy blocks to enhance its perception of dragon-type energy, overload the number of skill releases, and stack once a day. Weight training. Starting today, Xiaoxia will not put it into the elf ball unless it is necessary. It will carry 50 kilograms of props when it is young, and 100 kilograms in a few days. Of course, Lin Qing, who has the dragon god body, will also train with it. Xiaoxia swallowed his saliva subconsciously. Its current expression was surprisingly human, which made Lin Qing slightly stunned. It seemed to mean, what a sin. Come on, we are quasi-gods. I'll go with you, Lin Qing said with confidence. Xiaoxia saw that Lin Qing was with it, and his fighting spirit soared. Lin Qing also found some weights for it to tie on his hands, legs, back, and shoulders. One person and one dragon were still a little strenuous at the beginning, and they couldn't get up. After almost a few minutes, Lin Qing stood up first. With the dragon god body, he was actually much easier than Xiaoxia. Seeing that his master had already got on the treadmill, Xiaoxia also climbed up with difficulty. After running a few steps in the first round, he couldn't keep up and slid down. Once or twice, with Lin Qing's encouragement, he found the trick and could actually run with weights. He is worthy of being a quasi-god cub. His strength and talent are really amazing. Then there was special training for skills. Lin Qing had to teach him hand in hand for the first special training today, and he didn't need to care about it later. Quicksand hell, ramming, splashing sand, dragon's wrath. All the special training was carried out under weights. Lin Qing felt that with Xiaoxia's shining qualifications, it was only a matter of time before he reached the top. And just after Lin Qing accompanied Xiaoxia in special training for 3 hours, Lin Qing's phone rang. It was Sharona calling. Husband, the rental houses in Shushang Yayuan are almost full, and there are still many male students who want to rent. What should I do? I'm not free now. I'm in special training with Xiaoxia. You can do this, the one with the highest price wins. There is no upper limit. Okay. Oh, by the way, there are two girls, one named Su Chinyan and the other named Su Tianyan. They both yelled to me that they want to see you, saying that you are their boyfriend. Lin Qing was stunned at the time. What was supposed to happen still happened. The first big thing he did after crossing over was to cheat on Baekai's sister Sharona. It was amazing. Sharona on the other end of the phone looked at Lin Qing and didn't say anything. She also sighed helplessly. She knew that her fiancé had done such bad things more than once or twice. But it was the first time that someone came to her door, especially to her. She was the official fiancé after all. Lin Qing swallowed subconsciously and said, "Wait for me for a while. I'll come after I teach Xiaoxia how to train." "Oh, it's okay. I'll just ask. Anyway, we are engaged. I have no right to interfere with your freedom before marriage. Just be happy." Lin Qing heard the other party's tone of loss, and knew that it was going to be a disaster. He suddenly broke free from the weight on his body, and after a rage on the spot, he shouted to Xiaoxia, "Xiaoxia, brother is going to do something big. You practice well. I'll buy you delicious food when I come back." When Xiaoxia heard about delicious food, he nodded suddenly, and a quicksand hell directly squeezed the sandbag, which meant that you go. "I don't need to teach. This shark is a quasi-god." Lin Qing looked at the time and it was more than 4 o'clock in the afternoon. He ran out in a flash. Along the way, he was thinking whether the girl named Mary went to complain to Sharona today. If that's the case, then I really surrender to you. I have to think of a way. Telling the truth will only lead to death, because the previous owner of this body must have done this kind of bad thing more than once. If I say something I shouldn't say, Before Lin Qing could figure it out, he had already arrived downstairs of the Shushang Yayuan he bought. As soon as he arrived, he saw 4 women in 2v2. Yi, Pikachu, use Shadow Clone, then Shadow Ball. Pikachu, use Lightning Flash. A moment later, Su Chinyan's Pikachu was defeated by Sharona's Eevee. Su Chinyan held her Pikachu unwillingly and said, "Next time I will definitely beat you." At this time, the battle between the two girls who were playing solo next to her was also coming to an end. Maloob can use Lightning Flash. Get out of the way of the mosquito. Use Continuous Slap. Facing the suppression of attributes, Su Tianyan's water-attributed mosquito did not win the game, and the winner was Mary. Lin Qing looked at the group of people who were already fighting to the death with a confused face, and didn't know what was going on. "Let me say one more thing. Lin Qing is my fiancé. Whether you are in love or not has nothing to do with me. He will marry me after graduation. This is what the elders of our two families have decided." Quote. Su Chinyan on the opposite side looked at Sharona with an indignant look and said, "Aren't you still married? I thought it through yesterday. This man is still responsible. I am now officially declaring war on you. This Lin Qing is not my brother-in-law, so he is destined to be my husband." Mary next to him was also speechless. "Nana, that Lin Qing is not a good thing. If they want it, give it to them. We won't fight with them." Sharona didn't want to listen to her at all. She would definitely not let others ruin their business, especially now that Lin Qing has changed and has become much gentler. Just when Sharona was still thinking, Su Tianyan on the opposite side shouted loudly at Lin Qing, who was hiding behind with an annoyed face, "Lin Qing, I count to 3. Come here." The sound was so loud that many windows in the whole building were opened one after another. There was also a girl with a facial mask upstairs holding a watermelon and eating it. "Come and see. There are people arguing downstairs. I don't know who cheated on whom." Quote. "Oh my God, isn't that the school beauty? Who cheated on whom? Oh my God, isn't that the landlord?" Sharona looked at the two sisters and dared to yell at her fiancé. She got angry on the spot. She didn't like to lose her temper, but now she was like a Gyarados, exploding at any minute. Lin Qing also knew the priorities. The two twin sisters had already lost money, and they had to break up sooner or later. Sharona had to do the main task. So he walked to Sharona with an embarrassed look on his face, pretending to know nothing, just like Xiaoxia's Psyduck, turning on the mode of playing dumb and pretending to be stupid. Sharona was naturally arrogant when she saw Lin Qing coming over. She directly supported Lin Qing's arm and officially announced the original wife. Seeing this, the sisters Su Qinyan and Su Tianyan on the opposite side had their heads exploded and were about to tear each other apart on the spot. The whole story was like this. This morning, after the Su Tianyan sisters returned home, they forgot to put away their clothes after taking a bath, and their mother found 2 bloodstains on their JK skirts, and both skirts had bloodstains. As a mother, she naturally understood that her 2 beautiful daughters were raped by pigs last night, and it was serial rape. She told the father, who was smoking in the living room on the spot. When Su Tianyan's father heard that both daughters were raped by the same pig, he rolled his eyes on the spot, foamed at the mouth, and his blood pressure soared to 180. The sour feeling made Su Tianyan's father go into shock, and his hairy toes were still twitching. But medical miracles often happen inadvertently. When Su Qinyan told her mother that the man gave her and her sister 200 million, the father, who was about to die, stood up on the spot. It was definitely less than a minute before and after, and even the foam at the corner of his mouth was licked and swallowed back by him. So, our Su family's motto has always been that a woman can only serve one man for her whole life. Money is not important. You 2 sisters cannot bring shame to our ancestors. I, Su Lai, agree to this marriage. I am not a stubborn person. Su Qinyan watched her father making up some nonsense about the family motto. His father would definitely ask at least one of them to marry that man. It's settled. Anyway, this study will be over in 3 years. This man must be either my eldest son-in-law or my second son-in-law. Go buy more fruits and good vegetables, and buy some conditioning products for our daughter. She might give birth soon. Dad, what are you talking about? Who is going to give birth? If you can't give birth, try harder. I want to see my son-in-law this weekend. I'm about to be buried. I just want to see my grandson before I die. Don't force me. It's settled. The 2 sisters saw this money-hungry father and had no idea what to do. After thinking about it, maybe the amnesiac Lin Qing shouldn't be too bad. At least he is responsible. Originally, they thought they were going to rent a house from him today, but when they heard that this Sharona was actually Lin Qing's future wife, they exploded on the spot. If you want to say when some women like to be serious, it is when they fight with other women for things. Today, they have issued a challenge. Haha, don't be too proud. He is our boyfriend now. He gave my sister and me 100 million this morning. Be careful, we have decided to live in this house today. We chose the one next to Lin Qing. What can you do? Sister, go and ask Meow Meow Locksmith Company to change the door lock. I don't see who dares to stop me. Su Qinyan said as she went upstairs with the box in her hand, and Su Tianyan was also annoyed. Lin Qing stood beside Sharona with an awkward look on his face, not daring to fart for a long time. Sharona seemed to be used to it. She said indifferently, "Now you dare to find me. I don't ask you for anything, just don't have a baby with others, remember our engagement. I'm leaving. You can find someone else to help you manage this place in the future. I'm tired." Sharona was about to leave. Lin Qing was well prepared, and directly brought a box of real estate certificates and land certificates, and said resolutely, "This will all be yours in the future." I was wrong, my wife. I lost my memory. It was all done by Zhonghu and others, I really don't know. Zhonghu, Nima. Sharona was slightly stunned. This man who had always beaten and scolded her actually said that he was wrong. Is this Kentaro being praised to the sky by someone, or can the jelly egg be eaten as a poached egg? Forget it. You can do whatever you want in the future, just don't let me see it. I don't care how many you find, just don't let me see it. I don't care about you. Just muddle along. Then Sharona took Mary away. Before leaving, Mary made a face at Lin Qing, as if she had won. Lin Qing was speechless. What the hell are these Su Tianyan sisters doing? Isn't it said, is it okay to just pretend and dump him later? Never mind. I can't explain it clearly. Whatever you want to do. It's a long story. The child has no mother. Lin Qing went upstairs cursing and continued to watch the special training of the round land shark and the little shark. But when he got to the door, he saw that the sisters really moved next door to him and called a Meow Locksmith Company to change the locks there, and didn't ask Sharona for the key at all. Lin Qing was annoyed. He must find a way to invite Sharona to live with Sharona, otherwise the official match will be messed up by the 2 sisters sooner or later. After returning home, He thought that the round land shark should be tired for a long time, so he wanted to take it out for dinner and a walk to relax. But when he just got home and saw the little round shark holding a bucket of potato chips, now lying on the sofa watching Professor Oak's small play, laughing like a donkey in the production team, Lin Qing was annoyed and walked over to turn off the TV for it. When the round shark was watching it enthusiastically, the TV screen went black directly, which was the same feeling as when someone turned off the host during a group fight. The round shark raised his hand and clenched his fist to protest on the spot. He cursed and shouted, "Shark, shark, bye. Nima, enough of you one by one. How is your training going? Where did the potato chips come from? Who told you to eat them? How do you watch TV? Who taught you the remote control?" Lin Qing cursed with an annoyed face. The little round shark looked unhappy. It pointed at Lin Qing's mobile phone on the table and yelled, as if saying something. Lin Qing took a sudden look and found that this guy was actually learning to recognize words. Picture recognition app used to teach children. KFC delivery. Lin Qing looked at the takeaways and the money on the table with a confused look on his face. He was shocked on the spot. He had been out for less than an hour, and this round land shark had become a spirit. Not only did he learn to read a few words by himself, but he also knew how to order takeout. Amazing. Shark. The round land shark next to him was still protesting. He had just seen Professor Oak's legs being clamped by the giant crab, and he didn't know what happened next. Lin Qing looked at the round land shark that was about to become a spirit not long after it was born with an annoyed face. It was also amazing. What the hell is this training when he watches TV every day? If he learns to play with his mobile phone and becomes addicted to other female sharks with beauty filters on the internet every day, then this quasi-god will definitely be useless. Sell it. Release it. Shark, bye. The little shark was still protesting, and it was obvious that he didn't plan to continue. Enough. Don't shout. Watch for another 20 minutes. You can only watch after training every day, and it can't exceed 40 minutes at a time. Otherwise, I will throw the TV down from the upstairs tomorrow. No more, Lin Qing said with an annoyed face. The little shark continued to watch TV, laughing like a cerebral palsy. Not long after, he hugged a bucket of popcorn and started eating again. It was amazing. Lin Qing looked at this quasi-god. How come other quasi-gods can defeat everyone in seconds? Some of them don't stop at all during special training, and some even want to train themselves to death. Why did his quasi-god become like this in just a short time? What's going on? System, come out, Lin Qing shouted angrily, and the system also came out with a gloating look on its face. Master, I'm here. Cool down. Any instructions? Look at that thing. What's going on? Give me a reasonable explanation. Lin Qing pointed at the quasi-god round land shark who was picking his nose while watching TV, and said with contempt in his eyes. The character of the Pokémon is random. If it becomes a little different, it is likely due to the influence of the trainer. The system said this with a look of panic as it looked at Lin Qing, who had opened the system page and was about to click the complaint button. It was frightened and said in a panic, No. Master, listen to me. In my opinion, this boy definitely has the talent of a dragon god. Absolutely. I guarantee it with my annual salary. Lin Qing asked with disdain. How do you know it has the talent of a dragon god? I think you are just an old lady eating candy. The more you talk, the more you talk. The system cold sweat dripped down his face, his eyes rolled around. That, don't you think it's very intelligent? Is there any normal creature that would order takeout and steal the owner's money to pay the bill after being born for 3 days? Is there such a thing in our elf world? Absolutely. No, there is. This shows that it is a great talent. After listening to the system's reluctant explanation, Lin Qing stopped. Maybe his mind was a little confused after being tortured by that group of women just now. Indeed, now that he has listened to the explanation of this system, he also feels that this flashing quasi-god round land shark seems to be a little different, just like a child. Wait, Lin Qing seemed to have thought of something. He looked at the round land shark who was still watching TV, and suddenly felt a strange sense of expectation in his heart. Little shark, come upstairs with me after you finish watching it, I have something to tell you. Lin Qing was also eating the family bucket ordered by Little Shark and watching the touching situation drama. Little Shark was in tears, and he didn't know if it understood it. Anyway, it laughs when people on TV laugh, and cries when people on TV cry. Almost 10 minutes later, Lin Qing brought the little shark whose brain had just been enlightened to the training ground on the second floor. Lin Qing thought that normal Pokémon battles require command. If you don't command some Pokémon, you can't play a strong combat strength, because the analysis of the types of special moves, the control of the timing of using special moves, and other factors must be completed by a trainer with extensive experience. And the most fundamental reason is the problem of thinking. Looking at the round land shark whose brain has been enlightened, Lin Qing plans to do a test. After looking at the little shark, he said with a playful look, "From today on, we will have a one-on-one duel every day. If you win, you can watch 1 more hour of TV. If you lose, you can add 1 more hour of training time, how about it?" Shark, dare you? Lin Qing knew that it understood. It can already watch TV, so why doesn't it understand? Pretend. The little shark raised his fist directly to indicate that it accepted the challenge. So a human dragon solo began. Lin Qing vs Little Shark. Lin Qing raised his hand and threw sand at him. Little Shark jumped sideways with all his strength to avoid the skill. Lin Qing was delighted. At the beginning, it needed Lin Qing's command to fight Eevee, because it was just born, but now it knows how to dodge skills. You know, the most common words every trainer says in the Pokémon battle is, "Get out of the way." XXX. Looking at the little shark on the opposite side, Lin Qing found that he seemed to have got a quasi-god who was only a few days old but had excellent independent thinking. Then the round land shark puffed up its belly and used the dragon's fury, but Lin Qing jumped away and dodged it. Lin Qing also put his hand in front of his mouth and blew the dragon's fury. The little shark directly gave him a counter wave, and the two dragons' furies started to fight each other. Lin Qing was getting more and more excited. If this guy likes to watch TV, let him watch it. This innate fighting talent. But just when Lin Qing was thinking with joy, the round land shark's little shark's dragon's fury was not as good as Lin Qing's, and the little shark was knocked out and fell to the side. Lin Qing ran over with a panicked look on his face. Did he hit too hard just now? In terms of strength, his dragon god body must be stronger than the little shark, because there is also the bonus of the little fire dragon. But when Lin Qing wanted to check the injury of the round land shark with some distress, he suddenly felt something in his eyes. He was startled and wanted to dodge, but it was too late. Sixth brother. Lin Qing was in a big headache. He felt like his head was kicked by a donkey. He never dreamed that he would be tricked by a little elf who was only a few days old. Just now, the little shark pretended to be in pain and lay on the ground, like a real drama queen. When Lin Qing came over, he took advantage of the quicksand hell and now Lin Qing was trapped in it. Forget it. You won today. You are easy to be scolded. But you did a great job. Go watch TV. Lin Qing said speechlessly. Today, he was shown off by his little elf. It was amazing. When Lin Qing finished his shower and lay on the bed, he was still a little worried that Sharona would be fooled by Mary, the violent loli, so he silently turned on his mobile phone. After looking at Sharona's social circle, he began to think about how to coax her. August 25th. I ate strawberry-flavored ice cream today, yeah. My husband was discharged from the hospital today, but I didn't dare to go. I saw a round land shark that I had always dreamed of. I think I want one. After looking through Xiaobaikai Sharona's social circle for a long time, Lin Qing also made up his mind. Looking down at Qingliu City through the morning clouds, several bobos were flying in the sky, as if they were competing for food in someone's mouth, looking very lively, and in the garden of the Elf Academy, there were several butterflies flying around, as if they were courting and showing their love, and unknown powder was sprinkled in the garden. Today, the Elf Academy ushered in the first day of formal classes, and almost all teachers have prepared the teaching materials for class. Today, the first class of Lin Qing's Class 6's Basic Theoretical Knowledge of Elf, and each class will find some elves to explain the attributes and skills of elves to students. Although Lin Qing likes the feeling of going to school, he doesn't like to go to class. As soon as he listened to the class, he felt that there were two old fools chanting scriptures next to him, and he was drowsy. Classmates, let's talk about some of the most basic things today. For example, the various breeding conditions of elves. How much does an ordinary elf cost per month? Please take notes. This is very important. As the teacher on the stage began his speech, Lin Qing also cooperated and yawned. First, let me tell you how to get elves. Get them as rewards, buy them, give them as gifts, exchange them, conquer them in the wild, conquer them through persuasion in the wild. And the most common way to conquer elves in the wild needs to be told to everyone. Students are not allowed to conquer elves in the wild without a permit. There are countless people who have died at the hands of high-level elves because of their weak strength. If you accidentally enter the secret realm, you will only survive. If there is no Alliance Master to rescue you, you may never get out. That one over there, I'm talking to you. Why are you eating buns in class? The teacher took the blackboard eraser and knocked twice, expressing his dissatisfaction. Lin Qing looked at the 4 classes in today's schedule: basic theoretical knowledge of elves, elf engineering, elf combat skills, and elf physical training. It seems that he is only interested in the combat skills and physical training in the afternoon. The rest are all reciting scriptures, so he is too lazy to listen. The purpose of his coming to school today is to coax his wife, Sharona. Otherwise, what would he do here? And now Xiaoxia is still training hard on the treadmill at home, just to watch more TV in the afternoon. Lin Qing looked at Sharona sitting next to him and was also nervous. Maybe it was because he felt that he had cheated on her twice. Lin Qing was a little panicked when looking at her. Is there something on my face? Sharona also noticed that Lin Qing in the next seat was staring at her, and asked subconsciously. Yes, Lin Qing swallowed awkwardly. Is there something? It's a bit good looking. Sharona never dreamed that Lin Qing would say this. She covered her face with a book on the spot, and smoke came out of her head. Lin Qing looked very proud. Then he snatched a pen and paper from Zhonghu on the right and wrote a sentence. I want to take the most beautiful person to eat the most delicious ice cream. Right now, if you say go, I will report it. Then he put it directly on Sharona's desk. Sharona looked at it with a red face and a puzzled look. When she just finished reading it, she shook her head frantically and made a gesture of rejection. At this time, Lin Qing stood up and shouted with his hands raised, report to the teacher. The principal asked us to go. Sharona's eyes were dull and numb, and then she was pulled up by Lin Qing, and the two ran out of the back door. The teacher looked annoyed, but he didn't dare to provoke Lin Qing. Everyone in the school knew about the big incident yesterday. Now the entire school's forum has been flooded with messages for a day, but Lin Qing didn't read it, otherwise he would definitely scold people. The 2 most beautiful schoolgirls Su Qinyan and Su Tianyan from the Elf Academy shared a man the night before school started. The man is the second son of the Lin family. According to paparazzi, the second son of the Lin family is now living with his fiancée and the 2 sisters in Shushang Yayuan. And he is the landlord of the entire building. The whole building is full of women. I knock. I used to wonder why girls are rented there first. I heard that if a pretty girl can't afford the rent, she can use other methods to pay it back. Ahem. The one upstairs, you are infertile. I live here, how come I haven't heard of it? The one upstairs, maybe you are too ugly to enter the inner circle. Lin Qing, who has become a school celebrity, obviously doesn't know that his glorious deeds have been spread from 1 person to 10, and from 10 to 100, and his mother also knows about it. Sharona was also numb when she saw Lin Qing, the naughty kid, pulling her out to skip class on the first day of school. What are you doing? You can't sit still today on the first day. Be careful or I'll tell your mom. Sharona looked at Lin Qing speechlessly. Her expression was angry and anxious. My wife is angry. How can I sit still? Let's go. I'll take you to eat ice cream. Don't you like it? No. Class, let's go. Matcha strawberry flavor. Lin Qing ignored her and called a taxi to the city. Sharona, who was sitting next to her, said in a low voice, I want to. The driver looked down on the 2 students who skipped class on the first day and didn't say a few good words along the way. After driving for a while, Lin Qing and his friends arrived at a shopping mall. It was crowded. It was hard to imagine that there would be so many people in the mall on Monday morning, because this is the most prosperous area in Qingliu City. Every morning, a top-quality elf will be auctioned. It's the elf store. And Lin Qing also found this ice cream shop near the mall through the mobile phone software yesterday. It is said that the taste is very good. I just don't know if it can satisfy Sirona's little mouth. Hello. 2. Quote. Looking at Lin Qing calling for ice cream in front of her, Sharona was stunned. Is this a date? She has been engaged to her fiancé for 2 years. Is this the first time she goes shopping together? Going out with her fiancé on the first day of school to eat ice cream or something? Just thinking about it makes me feel. Let's go. Let's go and have a look. If there is an elf you like, let's buy it. Lin Qing put 2 ice creams in Sharona's hand, and pushed her to the elf auction house over there with a sunny face. Sharona's heart began to beat again with a look of surprise. She didn't say what elf she wanted. Why is he still so unreasonable? But this kind of unreasonableness is hard to guard against. How can he become so slick? Anyone else want to bid? Business level starfish. Anything else? 2.1 million once. 2.1 million twice. Quote. 2.1 million 3 times. Deal. This talented starfish was successfully auctioned, and belongs to the beautiful girl number 156. Looking at the auction site in full swing, Lin Qing also took Sharona to get a number plate for participating in the auction, and then Lin Qing pulled Sharona, who was licking ice cream, to sit in the back seat. The next auction is an ordinary level giant bee. The starting price is 1 million. When the host mentioned the giant bee, many people lost interest. This kind of Pokémon has a very low survival rate in battle. As long as its thin wings are injured, it may affect its flight. If it is burned by fire, it may be useless, and it is the final evolution form, which has no value for cultivation. Because it is in the real world, it is impossible to go to Miss Joy to see if you are injured. Only a few strong people will cultivate this kind of Pokémon with extremely small body joints. Now it is more used for reproduction and honey collection. The honey of the giant bee has extremely high nutritional value and is one of the favorite foods of most wild Pokémon. Obviously, this giant bee failed to be auctioned and no one bought it. The third elf to come on stage is a psychic-type Casey with ordinary qualifications. The auction price is 4 million. It should be their finale product today. Lin Qing, who did not choose a suitable elf, was also unhappy, but Sharona thought it was nothing. She was really surprised today. Lin Qing's mind was thinking all the way, how to coax his fiancé. That, Nana, didn't you say before that you want to live by yourself, not live in school or at home? Then do you want to come to my place? The room is very big, everything is. Lin Qing said nervously, and he didn't know what was going on. He was originally a calm person, but because of the matter of Su Qinyan and her sister, he was like a thief all day long. Well, okay. Lin Qing didn't expect the other party to agree so quickly, and he was relieved at that time. But I have a condition. Sharona added another sentence on the spot, which made Lin Qing's heart tighten. We sleep in separate rooms at night. You can't peek while I'm taking a shower, and you can't bring other girls home. The refrigerator at home must be filled with ice cream. You are not allowed to stay out all night. Wait until we graduate and get married. Sharona, who was eating ice cream, looked serious, and Lin Qing nodded repeatedly. He took a taxi back to Shushang Yayuan on the spot and helped her move things. When the two returned to their residence, they looked at Xiaoxia, who was still training on the second floor, and praised him. This guy was still very honest during training. Lin Qing felt like he had won a battle and was very proud. The little shark next to him didn't quite understand what Lin Qing meant by bringing a woman back to live with him, but it would soon understand. In the afternoon, Lin Qing also put Xiaoxia into the Pokeball, because there was a very exciting course this afternoon. That is the elf physical training. Lin Qing also wants to see where Xiaoxia's strength ranks in their class and how strong it is among his peers. At 2:30 in the afternoon, on the playground of the Elf Academy, a hot female teacher was blowing the whistle hanging on her chest with her mouth. Under the scorching sun, a lot of sweat appeared on her forehead. She is the physical teacher of Lin Qing's class, Ai Lu. Classmates, release your elves. Everyone takes your elves to run 3 laps around the playground. Those who finish first can rest. When Ai Lu finished speaking, several people were dumbfounded on the spot. Especially Zhonghu and his friends. Where have they suffered such a punishment? And Zhonghu's elf is still an amateur green caterpillar, running 3 laps. When he comes back from running 3 laps, his green caterpillar may have evolved into Rayquaza. Release the elves. Classmates. With the teacher's order, many people also released their elves. Bulbasaur, Walker, Geodude, Doodle, Caterpillar, Nidorino, etc. are all in a dazzling array, almost all of them are amateur level. Among them, 3 people have the highest elves, one of which is Sharona's normal level Eevee. Oh my god, it's normal level. Sharona should be the best in our class, right? I think Huang Long's Growlithe is the best. Just when classmates began to exclaim and praise who is better, a 4-eyed frog suddenly shouted loudly with a panicked look on his face, fuck. On the playground, a light blue figure and a human figure were running at a very fast speed, like 2 missiles. Lin Qing's dragon god body naturally has attribute bonuses, but Xiaoxia's speed really shocked Lin Qing. These days, he has been training with weights, and now the results are visible. Oh my god, is this amateur grade? Is it wrong? Ordinary grade students may not be able to outrun it. It's like a rocket. A boy next to him was stunned. This speed is really like cheating. Sharona was also shocked. This little guy hasn't been here for a few days. Has it grown to this point? This is too evil. If it continues to develop at this speed, it will definitely enter the ordinary level next week. This growth rate. It is worthy of being a flash quasi-god. Thinking of this, Sharona also looked at Ibrahimovic, touched it twice and said, "Let's go." Ibrahimovic, don't lose to it. It is your defeated opponent. Ibrahimovic. When Lin Qing came back with Xiaoxia, Zhonghu hadn't moved yet. He looked at the green caterpillar and then at his younger brother's unicorn worm, with a confused look on his face. Hurry, run, hurry. Zhonghu urged from behind. The whole person was very funny, and with his extremely unpleasant voice, there was no difference between him and a wild boar in the mountains. The green caterpillar was like a giant maggot. It shrank its body, lifted and pressed its neck, and pulled its body forward, successfully moving a little bit, just a little bit. It's going to run until next semester. Zhonghu was annoyed on the spot. He looked at the extremely hot female teacher Ailu again. The fitness clothes outlined her blood-spurting body, and the beautiful legs that made every man unable to control herself. Judging from her figure, she should be a wife, mature and charming. After looking at the teacher for a moment, Zhonghu looked at his big brother Lin Qing, who had already run back. He felt that this teacher was just making a fool of himself for students like them who couldn't afford to buy good elves. He decided to catch this female teacher tonight and give it to their big brother. Then he could exchange some money for it. If the big brother is happy for a few more nights, they will definitely be able to buy a good elf. He did it right away. Zhonghu called the 4 little brothers next to him who were urging the unicorn to crawl desperately. The 5 of them made a plan. Let's go to the sports equipment room tonight and tie her up. Then give her to my brother. Just as they were discussing, they felt a chill on their backs. Lin Qing was squatting there listening to how they threatened the female teacher, and he got angry on the spot. Don't you guys want to live even one more second? I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.